All right, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. Welcome back to the Resonant State in conjunction with William Ramsey Investigates and Wake the Dead. So, we are continuing our deep dive foray into this fascinating release of the FBI, Freedom of Information, George Esterbrooks, the master of hypnotism, the hypnotic trance of America, the United States of hypnosis. And so today we're going to be reviewing this document and doing a bit of a retrospective. And again, I'm joined by Professor William Ramsey. I'll call him a professor. I believe he's a professor. And Sean McCann of Wake the Dead. So, all right, guys, let's go ahead and dive in. Looking forward to this.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me back. This is a really great series, and I think this, like we're talking the pre-show. It's really important to understand all this stuff. This precursor, these dates are pre-World War II, and so the release of this document for people who haven't gone through the entire 10 episodes, which I do recommend you go back and look at this. This was a FOIA from the Black Vault. I think the guy's name is Greenwald. So you can go to the Black Vault website. There's other great documents there, but for some reason this was overlooked by researchers. But it really is a gold mine of information and technical stuff. And I'd just like to restate maybe the obvious is that these are correspondences that back in the day they had to type them out. They either had secretary or secretaries typing all this stuff, usually in detail with like strange printers or carbon copies and things like that that had to go out to all the bigwigs. So this is like a very time consuming process. The compilation of putting together this 450 pages of stuff in two separate PDFs over time is like a lot of work. So this is important to them. So it's not like sending out casual emails or being on social media, just posting a flurry of stuff. So this is, I think, really important. And I think it's also important to understand the unfolding of Esterbrooks's knowledge to Hoover, to his underlings, to Tolson, who was his gay lover supposedly, and then the introduction of Erickson, who was another scary guy. We were talking the pre-show, like there's so many important little facts and pieces of information on this. But for me, the thing that stands out the most is the one I think we mentioned either last time or the time before that, which is where Dr. Larson talks about what they're up to. And I'll read the full sentence. It's Dr. Larson indicated that because anyone associated with hypnosis has a dangerous tool and weapon at his command, he is necessarily subjected to such much rumor and gossip concerning violations of medical ethics and practices and of immoral actions. And it's actually these same terms are very important because if you go all the way back to Manchurian Candidate, there's that statement of Yen Lo talking to people and that this is a weapon. He's talking about Lawrence Harvey's character saying that he's a weapon. And so they're using that same information in a classified document. To my knowledge, this document, like I said, was not exposed until 2018. So you see that same kind of conceptual theme. But I think that's one of many important statements in this whole thing that we've only gotten up to 128 pages. So there's a lot more. There's a lot of, just to let people know what's on the horizon, there's a lot of academic papers in this and stuff like that. And I don't think it's worth our while to reread in detail. So I think the correspondence is really the more important part. But you can get this document, or these guys can do it as well if they want to do it solo. But for me, that's not as important because there's a lot of academic documents referenced in this. But those are really my takes. And just to do an overview of the whole, like what we've done over the last 10, we covered Manchurian Candidate, the movie by Condon. We did the intro to, I think it was the Condon intro to not the Marx book.
Mission Mind Control.
Thank you.
Walter
Operation Mind
Bauer.
Control. Thank you.
Yeah,
Walter
that's
Bauer.
it.
Thank you. We did that. Then we went to, we did something. Oh, we did Dave
Program
McGowan's.
to Kill.
Yeah, Program to Kill, Mind Control 101. So we read all that. And then we came to this document. And it just shows also like how intelligent and important McGowan was, like giving just a basic outline. And then we've talked a lot about current events, Hans's restated a number of times how many strange killers there are. Right now, Mangione is being tried. This guy, supposedly who killed Charlie Kirk, Tyler Robinson, was brought into court. I can probably bring that video up because somebody was there. No media, which is really weird. Only 20 people from the media at the state court for somebody very important who was killed, shot. And she said he was a zombie. He just basically stood there. She literally saw him. I'll try to bring that up now. But that's my take, my overview of what we've done so far.
Yeah, yeah. It's oh, sorry, Sean.
Sorry,
I started first. No, go ahead.
I just wanted to say that it's really important to us too that are doing the deep dives and the research, and the fact that you're bringing this for all of us is like huge. I was saying the pre-show about how it's like Mystery Babylon level. Like Bill Cooper, I mean, he had millions of shows, but those Mystery Babylon, there's like 47 of them or something like that. Those were true gold. And, I would listen to those over and over again, just to really soak in
All right, we're
what he
back.
was teaching us. And I believe that these series here is at the same level. I mean, there's no other podcasts that are bringing you this granular level of information. So I'm just, again, so grateful to have this and to be part of this, and to be able to add. What I would also like to add, my most important thing over the last, what we've been doing, is the fact that it's trauma based mind control, and how they knew about trauma-based mind control since the beginning. The Grok the clown with the broken legs and stuff, that is the mechanism, and the drugs and the hypnosis is like other factors which help, but the main mechanism is learned helplessness and the breaking of the psyche. And that's extremely interesting for everything that I've been learning and trying to understand, on my show. And this, it's a weapon. The fact that, and we brought up Russ Dizdar and the Black Awakening, and we brought up the Dave McGowan, and, Manchurian Candidate is about a murderer, like they made him to be a weapon. That's the first thing and it's just more evidence every episode. It's just like evidence of like how finely tuned the military creates their weapon, and the human mind to them is just another mechanical process, like the firing of a gun. They just hijack it. Like Yuval Harari says, or whatever. Like there's no more free will in these people. And the examples of Estabrooks having these like forever hypnotized people. He's got like 3 of them that he's just going to loan out to people. Oh yeah, I mean, it's and it's spoken about like it's just normal, no big deal. 1937, and and somehow in the 2000s, everybody's just like, "Oh, what is it going on? I don't understand the world. What's good? What's the real deal?" But it it's mind control, like straight up from the beginning. And like this is explaining to everybody, even people that are skeptical and like, oh, I'm not a conspiracy theorist type. Look at the document. I mean, this, take it to the bank, right? This is real. This is real, and it's very important, and I'm so glad. So thank you.
Great. Yeah, thanks, Sean. And one thing to note is that the it's everyone talks about mind control, but in a certain way, you should look at central nervous system control. So ultimately, the control is aiming for the functional operational attributes of the physical organism accessed through the mind. But the thing is that if you look at all these, like say talk therapy, if there's something that's in a very, it's things are operating as programming, right? And this is what NLP talks about. I was going to bring up that book, the original publications, the leather-bound volumes. They have all these equations of how to do this programming. It's literally written out in mathematical equation formulas. So they're creating a formula, and these formulas target different aggregates, different groupings of people, etc. Right? And so, and just saying that there's also they're inducing I mean, look at the heavy level of chemicals they're also introducing. Right? So there is no holds barred. Right? And then when you define, we also have to look at these definitions, right? Remember Guantanamo Bay? They define the people that were taken there, non-combatants, right? Or whatever, whatever, belligerents. So you just create these definitions. How many of American citizens, maybe all of us, are under various designations that allow us to be experimented upon with impunity? And then again, the again, these are not just fired off missives. These are not just tweets, right? These are also records. These are documents. These are policy statements, right? So these are typed up. These are created as documentary trails and also as directives and orders, right, that are issued. So this is much more important than, say, someone firing stuff off on Twitter. Those are not directives or orders. But so anyways, just hopefully the recognition that this sort of hypnotic suggestibility, hypnotic control on the macro level, on the expanse level of the general population that allows these mass movements, as well as the particular with, again, how do you go from the max number of mass shootings in U.S. history before it was 2012 was about 22, right? After that, it went up to 400 something in 2013. It stayed, has not gone below 400 something a year. It even went up to almost 800 in 2023. Mass shootings a year. In U.S. history, you have decades with one or two in the entire decade. So this, from Columbine to 2012, there was like 10 mass shootings. So I'm just saying that something is going on, and why did it just spike like that? So.
Right. It ties into Program to Kill. One of the other themes that I overlooked too in my intro is also the guise, right? So Esterbrook is saying, I'll go be in the guise of a guy at YMCA. And it's just like the creepy white coat guy that even extrapolates, like even our black pill conversation we had and the stuff about Zoe Smith and Palantir being selectively targeted. Like we're in a really strange environment. And these mass shooters, I think, are part of it, or the Black Awakening. And it makes Russ Dizdar, who I think is targeted, like it makes him even more, prescient. So really important stuff.
Great. Would you dive in here on the document?
Yeah.
Who wants to read first? William, would you like to?
Sure. I can't remember exactly. I think we got to like 128 or 129, right? The use of hypnotism, I think the effects may result from improperly used. But did we do that?
Interview with Mr. Quinn Tam of.
So that's where we're at. Okay.
I think that's where.
Okay, that's where we got. So we're definitely 129. Yeah. So memorandum for Mr. Nathan. This is April 13th, 1937. Re-interview of Mr. Quinn Tam of Technical Laboratory with Dr. Milton H. Erickson, and you'll see that it's CC'd with Chuck Tolson, Clegg, Joseph, Tam, and the director. So I think that goes all the way to the top. So goes all the way to Hoover. So it's the following is a report of the interview conducted by Mr. Quinn Tam of the Technical Laboratory. I believe the Technical Laboratory was kind of like their Q, like, James Bond had Q. I think that the Technical Laboratory is like the FBI's version of that. With Dr. Milton H. Erickson of the Psychiatric Hospital at Eloise, Watt, Michigan, on the general subject of hypnotism. Mr. Tam was accompanied during this interview by Special Agent Levin of the Detroit Field Division. Mr. Tam spent approximately 6 hours with Dr. Erickson on Saturday, April 10th, 1937, during which time Dr. Erickson gave a couple of demonstrations, which Mr. Tam reports as being absolutely amazing and of such a nature that it is hard to believe that one person could exercise control over another individual in the manner in which Dr. Erickson works without actually seeing the process demonstrated. So that's the other thing is like public credulity. Like people don't know they can do this. I'll just reread that statement. Dr. Erickson gave a couple of demonstrations for which Mr. Tam reports as being absolutely amazing and of such a nature that it is hard to believe that one person could exercise control over another individual in the manner in which Dr. Erickson works without actually seeing the process demonstrated. The first demonstration which Dr. Erickson gave consisted of calling into his office one of his patients in the hospital, a boy who possibly has a queer mental quirk, which throws him into the class of persons known as an exhibitionist, but who otherwise has about the average mentality of the ordinary clerical employee. Before starting the demonstration, Dr. Erickson advised that he has been working with this boy for a period of approximately 100 hours, doing all sorts of research experiments with him, and at the present time has him conditioned to such an extent that upon the command to go to sleep, the boy is placed in a deep state of somnambulism. When placed in this deep state of hypnosis, resembling very greatly an intense trance, Dr. Erickson proceeds with a type of experiment which he calls the personalization, and changes the boy's personality from the individual who he actually is first to a fictitious character whom he calls Johnny Walker. As Johnny Walker, the subject was a boy with the mentality probably of a 6-year-old. He had a great deal of difficulty in enunciating and pronouncing words, or in speaking generally. His reactions were the same as an imbecilic youth, but he readily obeyed commands which the doctor conveyed to him. He kept the boy in this condition for approximately 1/2 an hour. Then, simply with the words, "Goodbye, Johnny. Hello, Tommy," Dr. Erickson changed the boy back to his normal self. However, he was still in a deep state of somnambulism. As a control to show that the person was actually in a hypnotic state, Dr. Erickson made use of the induction of muscular rigidity similar to catalepsy, so that during the whole course of the demonstration with this particular subject, the doctor had him hold his arm in a rigid position. This is very common testing of hypnotic states, and you'll see that played out through a lot of other people. I've read of William Joseph Bryant doing the same test. Due to the fact that this experiment lasted for a period of an hour and a half, it was absolutely impossible for the subject to fake the extreme rigidity of his muscles for that period. During the time that the boy was the second personality, he was instructed that he was in the room alone with the doctor, and upon looking around the room and glancing at the 2 agents present in the room, the subject failed to recognize that there were any people sitting there, and talked to the doctor as if he were in the room by himself. During the second stage of hypnosis, the boy was able to recount everything that had gone on before in a sort of abstract manner. The impressive part to Mr. Tam was the fact that he could recall all of the conversation to the most minute detail, and to such an extent that it would have been impossible for a normal person to recount the conversation word for word, as it was done by the hypnotic subject. Then, simply with the words, "Goodbye, Tommy, you are now Charlie Burr," the doctor transformed the subject into another personality, this time a person with whom the subject was familiar and who had worked with in the workshop of the psychiatric hospital. According to the doctor and this personality, the subject took on the mannerisms of the previous person, imitated him, and was instructed to tell why he was in the hospital, and after a little urging, broke down and gave the reason why this other person was being retained, all the time the person thinking that he is the dual personality. After giving this demonstration, which lasted about an hour and a half, simply by the words or instructions, "Wake up, Tommy," the subject was returned to normal and was then questioned by Mr. Tam as to his feelings. He seemed to have absolutely no memory of what had occurred during the hour and a half, during which he was hypnotized, and evidenced no bad results from this hypnosis. So amnesia, right? Total amnesia. Goes back to the book and movie Manchurian Candidate. Do you guys have any comments before I go through the second demonstration?
This is like their holy grail of what the government wants from people is,
Yeah.
like give them an hour in a room and then they can do that with someone's mind. I mean, wow. Was there preconditioning? I mean, he worked with him in the hospital before. So like, did they torture this guy? Like, I wonder more.
Well, Erickson was known though for being able to. He'll just talk to you, and I won't mention the particular broadcaster who had some critiques of ours, but that to me seemed like embedded type of Milton Ericksonian hypnotic language where you're induced into a trance, you do not recognize you're a trance. Here's a couple things that are maybe not scary is the wrong word. The previous document, they talk about use of magnetic fields on animals to induce hypnosis, electromagnetism, electromagnetic fields, cell phone towers, you know, Wi-Fi,
Right,
etc.
right.
So this experiments with magnetic fields, electromagnetism, aggregate states. So you're doing force multipliers, types of induction. So the main thing is induction, force multipliers. Then we have the fracturing, creating multiple personalities. This is of course SRA, etc. This is probably the developmental stage of that. So, but again, Erickson was known as like you're in a trance. You don't even know you're in a trance. The thing is, you have this bifurcation of consciousness. You get this permanent trance state where you think you wake up from the trance into your normal personality. That is also part of the trance state. So you have these layered degrees. It's like topology, right? It's like all these different sedimentary layers of trance conditioning. Johnny Walker, and one last thing I'll say: look at all the advertising, all the things that are fed into our brains as different types of. You just think you're just broadcasting this vast array of hypnotic commands and triggers that are going to affect different people differently, but they're going to certainly affect people. And you can walk outside your door and probably see people that are living in a permanent hypnotic trance. And then they go to some, Wim Hof thing where they lie in a cold bath and you activate the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems at the same time. I'm not criticizing that per se, but that can actually, people have actually died from doing that. It does create like a buzz. You get a trance state because you fried out your brain. And then you feel, oh, I'm at rest. I'm so peaceful, man. I feel great. But you're still in that aggregate hypnotic conditioning state. So that's what he's referring to, which is really, really, really chilling if you think about it, is this permanent state of low-level trance induction where when you wake up from one dream, you're in another dream. You wake up from another dream, you're in that dream. It's like it's like a hall of mirrors.
And then think about that with the 24-hour news channels that are always like giving you this new reality, and you just got to keep up with what's the crazy news now. Oh, what's the crazy thing? And it's just like continually putting you in that fear state of Grok the Clown. Like, oh, I mean,
Dopamine hit. And then you go on Facebook and you get your dopamine hit from the likes. So it's just doot, 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 doot. Then you go to the Indian
right.
casino and get your dopamine hit, and just like how conscious.
Yeah, you
are
pull the
man?
lever and all the bells and whistles go, and like fucking yeah. And
The
then you
other
see
thing is,
the number 777 is like this highly occult magic number, and it's like, oh yeah,
and then your eyes bug out even wider.
Yeah.
Wow, it's even like the amnesia element too is very important. Like we did that show on Black Pill about COVID, and it's like people just forgot and went forward. It's almost like something from H.G. Wells where you have the Morgoth and the Eloi, where the Eloi have just no memory or no capacity for circumspection. Like I'm here, like I'm in the midst of people who are like like they think that Tyler Robinson was a tranny loving furry who shot Charlie Kirk. Like I literally talked to them. I'm like, oh, really? Wow, that's really great. Yeah. So he did shoot him with a 30-06. Well, that was what I was told on TV. Like I'm literally having these conversations. It's just like, whoa, you're like literally being led around like a grokking clown. Like the story is a total fairy tale, by the way. Like if people can't figure that out, people who listen to my show know it's a fairy tale. But
And
But
you know what?
not just that, like every 4 years, people are under this trance again, and they think that they can go just vote themselves into freedom again. Like, and I look around, and all these people are crazy, and they're all under this trance, and they all have this false reality that like so there's levels. You know what I mean? There's like religion and statism, and like all the culture. Like everybody's under those kinds of. That's the sediments that Hans is talking about.
Yeah. No, it's
But
really
then you
real.
get-
It's interesting because you learn this from like learning this knowledge. It's almost like you're your own doctor trying to like ascertain this person. How much do you know? I had a family member. I'm like, yes. He's like, yes. Tyler Robinson shot Charlie Kirk with a 30-06. And I asked him, how do you know that? He said, why would I know anything different?
Well, there you go. And things
Wow.
are forgotten. As soon as the news cycle shifts, it's forgotten. So this is, I mentioned the nervous system, right? So when you're doing, your doom scrolling or you're doing, your social media, what you're doing is you're just, okay, you've got this light waves coming to it's just all in the brain, right? And you're just firing up see, people, I think it is keeping people in a continual startle reflex, right? So the startle reflex, gunshot, bam, 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 bam. But then it turns that into a pleasure. So it rewires your brain. So pleasure becomes pain. What is damaging you becomes attractive. And then you are in a bad way because you're addicted to it.
It's like the sadomasochism thing. It's like the people they all of a sudden they think that pain is pleasure, and then they start doing that to other people, and like it's like a switch that gets flipped in their head, right? I don't know. Anyway,
That's incredible.
it goes right along with those Frankists, doing the opposite of everything, and we were talking about in the pre-show, but yeah, sorry, we kind of veered off. Are there comments then?
Yeah,
did you bring those up because you want to read them? Okay.
I'm going to bring.
Well, there's tons of comments. I just forgot to put this little kind of.
Oh, okay. We'll get to that later. We'll get to that.
We'll maybe at an hour mark, take a break or something.
Okay.
All right, back to the document.
The second demonstration.
No, I got this.
Okay,
I'll finish this document.
All right, good.
The second demonstration was extremely startling and probably demonstrated that Dr. Erickson, in Mr. Tam's opinion, is purely interested in the scientific research of what actually occurs during a state of hypnosis. Mr. Tam believes that he is probably brutal, absolutely without scruples as far as his research is concerned. Mr. Tam believes that he is probably brutal, absolutely without scruples as far as his research is concerned, and will go to any means to obtain the desired end in the research in which he is interested.
Perfect psychopath, right? Yeah.
During the course of the luncheon, which Mr. Tam had with Dr. Erickson, without any warning whatsoever, and in exactly the middle of the luncheon, Dr. Erickson hypnotized his wife and had her sitting at the luncheon table, holding her arms stiffly rigid straight up in the air in such a position that a normal person probably could not maintain it for a period of more than 40 or 50 seconds. By actual timing, Miss Erickson's arm remained stiffly rigid in the air for over 5 minutes. During this time, the doctor asked her several questions which she undoubtedly would not have answered in the presence of strangers if she had been in a normal condition. This demonstration was extremely impressive, but did not give a very good insight into the type of character which Dr.
I think it does give us some insight. I think it gives a lot of insight.
The demonstration was extremely impressive, but did give a very good insight into the type of character which Dr. Erickson undoubtedly is. Wow. So this is his second wife. He's got her, probably selected her because she's a good hypnotism subject, and he's got her saying things that she would not have answered in the presence of strangers if she had been in a normal condition. Wow.
Didn't we talk about this before? Like he made his first wife crazy, and then the next one was his
20-year-old.
Yeah. His graduate student.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that you have to understand all the guys, all the deception. That's what he probably got her a job after he found out, oh, this is my little hypnotized sex slave or whatever.
Right.
And he had 5 kids with her. And he was 10 years older or 20 years older.
Yeah. As she was being impregnated, she had her arms stiff like this, and she was like reading some kind of like a thing from the brain.
Well, the thing is, though, we went over that PowerPoint, right, on Erickson and stuff, which was okay, but based on, if you look at it from a contemporary lens, Erickson, like I said, he's like this grandfather, this great healer, this wonderful grandfather figure that you'll be hard pressed to find any of this stuff about him, except for in these documents. And this guy, this is FBI, this is a government document. This is saying he's brutal without any scruples. He's
literally saying it's so funny, dude.
It's like his wife, he's like, he doesn't, that is I mean, that's intense, right? This is like
Dude, of all
this
people,
guy's a
your life is
psychopath.
sacred. Like, why would you do, like, instead of just some random person, one of his students or some person from the CCC or whatever, it's his wife, the mother of his children. He's gonna do this too. Like, what the? Oh my god.
This is the second person with something unfavorable to say about Erickson. The demonstration was extremely impressive, but did give a very good insight into the type of character which Dr. Erickson undoubtedly is. So he has no doubt Erickson is a monster or whatever. Dr. Erickson seems to be very enthusiastic about his subject and extremely willing to cooperate with the Bureau in any type of work which it may wish to conduct. Wow. He informed Mr. Tam upon questioning that he has been working with hypnotism for a period of 14 years, during which time he has had as hypnotic subjects probably 500 people. And the doctor reports that he has been successful in hypnotizing these 500 subjects 90% in a period of 5 hours or less, during which time they were placed in a state of a deep trance. A small
Wow.
percentage took more than the 5 hours to hypnotize, and the only failures which Dr. Erickson reports from his research work are the failures to hypnotize feeble minded people. It is Dr. Erickson's opinion that anyone may be hypnotized and that the only difference between the various types of people is the length of time necessary to work on them in order to introduce a state of hypnosis. In connection with the hypnotic state, Dr. Erickson believes that it is possible through clever questioning and through the use of dual personalities to obtain any type of information from a person who is hypnotized. However, the doctor points out that it is not possible to blunder straight in and ask questions or make a person do something that is against his own will. However, he points out that in good interrogation, by clever handling of the subject and the proper approach, you can get a person to divulge most any type of information or perform most any type of a task. It is Mr. Tam's opinion that as far as the subject of hypnotism is concerned, Dr. Erickson is probably 20 or 25 years further advanced in the research in this field than the previous contacts which the Bureau has made. So they hit the mother load. The type of his technique and his procedure is much more refined and probably much more highly successful than the technique used by Dr. Esther Brooks. Mr. Tam did not have a great deal of chance to observe the actual technique used in placing a person in a state of hypnosis for the first time. However, he questioned Dr. Erickson extensively along this line and found that the first thing that Dr. Erickson does is to gently suggest certain things to the person that are bound to happen, such as the fact that if he sits in a chair for a long period of time, he will soon become tired. Things that will place him on the defensive, such as suggesting that as much as he tries, his eyelids will soon become heavy and close, and he cannot keep his eyes from blinking. Anything with the idea of getting the person to concentrate on one particular thing. Then, once the state is obtained, Dr. Erickson believes that it is easy to put a person into an extremely deep trance. It is believed by Mr. Tam that more time would have to be spent with Dr. Erickson to master the technique which he uses.
I just wanted to add that he was talking about 5 hours per subject to put them under hypnosis forever. I just wanted to say that most average people watch television more than 5 hours a day. Just put that there. Okay, let's keep going.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just crazy. Here's the thing: is you get him into a state of hypnosis, and then you take him deeper. That's what he's saying. So you even go farther. Mr. Tam asked Dr. Erickson what he thought of the use of drugs to place a person in a more receptive mood for hypnotism, and Dr. Erickson informed him that as far as his research was concerned, he had found that drugs served to hinder rather than hasten the hypnotic effects. Dr. Erickson expressed the belief that the hypnotism could be used on criminal subjects very successfully, dependent upon the cleverness of the interrogator or the operator in circumventing the inhibition of the hypnotized person to do anything against his own wishes. He said that he believed that a person in a hypnotic state, his mind is so much at the control of the hypnotist that little difficulty would be encountered in working and getting information from criminal subjects. In line with Mr. Tam's suggestion that you orally, that he believed it would be desirable for you to contact Dr. Erickson and see the demonstrations of the work which you can do. It is suggested that if the Bureau approves, You and Mr. Tam could proceed to Eloise, Michigan, sometime during the week of April 19th, 1937, so that you personally could see the demonstrations and the technique which Dr. Erickson uses. There are attached here, too, 2 reprints of publications by Dr. Erickson, which were given to Mr. Tam during the course of his discussion with Dr. Erickson. There's attached here, too, the director's signature. Here for the director's signature, a letter thanking Dr. Erickson for the demonstrations which he gave Mr. Tam. Wow. It's an incredible document, man.
Well,
Off the charts.
20 to 25 years ahead of what the Bureau has. So you see that what we've revealed with this, I don't think, okay, I've known about Erickson in conjunction with NLP. I had no idea that he was connected on this level and really in a certain way far more advanced, right, than other people. Even, and again, absolutely without any ethics whatsoever. Power by any means necessary, even including saying, I'll hypnotize my wife and I'll make her talk about her sex life, basically implying that, and make her do something that's some incredibly painful position, stress position, and just at the dinner. I mean, well, in front of the public. That shows that he has absolutely no scruples. It's simple power, control, and like this next study, I don't know if we want to go through all of it, but I mean, just look at this again. You mentioned this already, William, is the white coat. You go in for a treatment and you end up as a hypnotic subject. This guy has a problem. What? Premature ejaculation. Well, let's go ahead and let's induce a neurosis and make him mentally ill also. So you're still going to have premature ejaculation, but you're going to be psychologically screwed up. Thanks, Milt.
Here's the thing, guys. If you look at so
really
many
helping
of
society,
these program guys, they've been in the hospital for long periods of time or in and out of the hospital, whether it's Chapman or Sirhan. I mean, the list is really actually long. Mangione, Mangione went in the hospital for like a back surgery, came out like a different personality,
right?
And wanted to, like, Ted Kaczynski is my hero. Well, how did that happen?
Right.
Like, are you Johnny Walker now? Like, what's your real personality? This is really scary stuff. Going back to Hans, they use the word brutal. Like, Milton Erickson is brutal.
Not the nice grandfather you thought it was, Hans. Yeah.
But again, who has talked about Milton Erickson, and even with SRA, he's been sort of written out of the history. But I knew he was very powerful. I mean, he had very powerful techniques. But I look at this. He's creating multiple personalities, subsets
in 5 hours.
Maybe not even 5 hours. That's the thing. He was known. He'll just talk to you, normal conversation. He's already embedded hypnotic triggers, and then he'll just start activating them. A gesture, this, that, tap you on the shoulder, put the anchor in. Right. And again, just modulating speech, putting the command words in, and like listen to Aldous Huxley's speeches, listen to Bateson's speeches. They're those things that you just kind of blather on, but like get to the point. Well, even Noam Chomsky, great example of hypnotic Ericksonian hypnosis. Right. Yeah, but I mean, Noam Chomsky, the intellectual, superstar of the left.
Yeah, but
the way he talks, his measuring word emphasis, he's also using maybe a more mild form of Ericksonian hypnosis in these discourses. I mean, okay, maybe that's a jump, but
no, really, that is. I mean, he's the gatekeeper. Like, ask him about 9/11. He'll say, you're an idiot for not believing the government. Remember during COVID, he was like, oh, people that don't get vaccinated, they can just starve and die. Like, okay, like whose side is he really on? Like, he works for the death cult. These people, like look at like Kinsey is the most ruthless psycho. Like, they've hired him and made him the hero. Just like this Milton Erickson is like, oh, he's brutal. Let's hire this guy, and he wants to work with us. Yay. I mean, what is government consisted of? It's psychopaths that want power, right? I mean, so he fits right into the fold, right? Just fold him right in. Like a deck of cards, like all just stack of psychopaths. Like, anyway.
And then, so the next one is induction of specific amnesia, where you forget certain things, right? And can we not see specific amnesia? This event is out of the media. Oh, what? It never happened. You know what I mean? It's not brought up. I mean, and we literally are.
Right.
You see this
The
all.
Democrat hoax, right? The fucking Epstein doesn't exist. That never happened.
You know, and this is 1984. You know that
Right.
Orwell, who was
Right.
knew
Memory
about the
hole.
Fabian Society, Tavistock Institute, and all that stuff. So there you go. I mean, this is. Anyways,
Yeah.
you want to
English socialism, right? The whole the guy from South Africa there with the diamonds, the rings within rings and all of that world domination, new world order, like the crown of England and the trifecta of London and Washington and the Vatican City, and like what is all of that? Like it's this and this power system. Like I don't know, I guess it's pretty off the wall right there, but it's not. I mean, it is all connected.
wow. This is Bandler and Grinder, the founders of NLP. We'll have to
We
play
have
some of
ties
the
to Erickson. So you got ties to Erickson, to Bandler, to Grinder, and then that big guy who does all of those like public things. What's his name? I forgot his name. Who's like the NLP guru or whatever, who got busted with a
Tony
lot.
Robinson.
Tony
The
Robinson,
teeth guy, yeah,
huge dude. He's fake. He's not. He didn't do
right,
any of the work. He's like a front man for the concepts,
right.
and he's like a cutout. And then he gets busted for like sexual inappropriate contact with the audience. So you can see Erickson. These guys know these techniques, man. Yeah, it's just incredible.
One of the right now there's a quote from Mindhack 2878. They pushed NLP heavy in the Temple of Set. Okay, that makes sense. Not surprising at all with Aquino and him working for the same people, right? I mean,
yeah. Well,
go ahead.
Just I don't know who started first. So I'll
you
just finish real
first.
quick.
You go ahead.
So there's I did mention sort of the shameful past where I did the personal power program of Tony Robbins, but he has interviews with different, he goes around the world, he interviews different people. So he has an interview with Wayne Dyer, right? And Wayne Dyer you can see there's a hostility. He says a lot of people are not who they seem to be. Some people are working under the guise of self-help are actually working for the forces of evil. Like Tony just keeps going with the interview, but it's very like you can see he's in, Wayne Dyer's Hawaii mansion, but you can see that Wayne Dyer's like calling him out big time. So I'll see if I can track that down. It's quite
Does he literally use the word guys?
Yes, wow. He does. And it's really, I'm surprised he even included that in the thing. Like, why did you not just erase this? But he's literally, he's basically saying that, Tony is, you are a cutout. You are not who you claim to be, and you're working for government agencies. And he doesn't say directly about Tony. He talks about people like that. Of course, he's referring to Tony. And there's a very tense, hostile sense of like, get the hell out of my house, Tony, you big, mutant ape.
That's great. Makes me think higher Wayne Dyer. That's great. Wow. My parents used to have those tapes.
This is like the foundation of so much stuff that's just scattershot through the whole culture. Like this is it. It's just absolutely incredible. All the way up to the present. So there's people like, oh, this is a dead letter. This is some old document from 35. No, guys. This is the foundation. This is it. They'll write books about this document. There's no question about it. And they use any real researcher will use this as a baseline or one of the baselines.
There's so many people that look into NLP, but it's based in this torture research, right? It's not just words, it is words when it gets to Erickson, but I wonder how he's torturing these people in their heads, like with words. Like I'm wondering how he's getting this effect, because it's grokism that it takes to get this way. And so in those hours, maybe he's putting fear in their heads or something. Like I'd like to see it on a video,
Well, the whole self-help, which really started in the 70s, right? The self-help movement
Right.
is rife with this, right? I mean, it is, and again, even with NLP, you're learning it. Well, how do you know what level you actually learning on it? B, how much are you being hypnotically programmed while you're supposedly learning this technique?
Right.
Right. And that's the thing. Like you do not know. And then you have these layers of discourses, right? If you like, again, you look at the main books of NLP, Frogs into Princes, etc. You try to get through them. They're just dialogues, right? It doesn't, even the written word can induce hypnotic
Right.
trances, where and you can see that, so but if you look at the actual books that are, those are for the psychologists, well, no, it's all mathematical formula. You immediately get a topology of how someone basically functions in their inner and outer, representational systems, and you find a way to mirror that, and then you start changing it and programming it through formulas. And these formulas, again, are very specific, and you can apply them to large scale group sectors, or you can even put in the principle of entrainment, you put in one person who has been deeply hypnotically conditioned. They will start to their behavior will influence the behavior of those around them. So unless people are conscious, then suddenly you can create these mass effects of these arrays.
Maybe it's because everybody has levels of trauma and he's just accessing that within them, and the SRA people are just imposing specific traumas that they know this happened with this, and so that way they control the whole situation. Maybe that's he's able to access like that. Because I mean, how can everybody? He says like everybody can be hypnotized. It's just the level
Right.
of, before in the earlier documents, they were like, oh, this many percentage of the, 40% or whatever it's possible
One
to
out of
hypnotize
five.
them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Something smaller. Yeah. Like 20% or whatever. But then he's saying everybody. It's just how deep do you have to go to get them? It's like, because everybody has a mind built like that. So it's scary.
Scary stuff. This is
Yeah.
I mean, these are the two papers that I mentioned earlier. Like, I don't want to go into all the detail or rewrite this. You can probably find this. This is Milton Erickson from the British Journal of Medical Psychology, 1935, study of an experimental neurosis hypnotically induced in a case of ejaculatio precox, which is premature. This was the nice Latin word for premature ejaculation back in the day. But basically, what he does is he explains how he changes this person's personality to make sure that he doesn't have that same kind of uh, sexual dysfunction as well. Well, I can actually read the final. I think that each one has kind of like a summary. Um, a patient seeking a therapy for a neuroses of ejaculatio precox was subjected to an experimental procedure where an attempt was made to induce in him a second neurosis by means of a hypnotically implanted complex. This complex had been formulated to symbolize or to parallel his actual neurosis. In consequence of this procedure, there appeared to result an identification of the induced conflict with his original neurosis and a fusing of their effective reactions. After the patient had been forced to relive, abreact, and gain insight into the suggested conflict, it was discovered that he had made a clinical recovery from his original neurosis and that he was still able to function normally a year later. A discussion is given in which possible psychological processes and mechanisms underlying the experimental results are elaborated. The ultimate soundness of the therapeutic results is questioned. An emphasis is placed on the practicability of hypnosis as an experimental procedure in the analysis of personality disturbances. There follows a list of certain specific problems suggested by the study. So basically, he leveled one neurosis on another neurosis in a hypnotic state and then solved his problems.
You know,
They can't solve anything. They can only give neuroses.
well,
Good point. I'll just give him two neuroses instead of one, and that'll solve his problem. Now he's doubly neurotic.
if you don't mind, I just want to read. There's one passage here where he goes through sort of his hypnotic thing. It's about
Sure.
1.5 pages. Okay,
Sure.
so I'll just start. This is page 141, and so this again from the document. So, as soon as a patient had been placed in a profound somnambulistic hypnotic trance of the type characterized by an apparent complete dissociation from all environmental stimuli and by an apparent total amnesia post hypnotically for all trance events and suggestions, he was given the following instructions. Now, as you continue to sleep, I'm going to recall to your mind an event which occurred not long ago. As I recount this event to you, you will recall fully and completely everything that happened. You have had good reasons to forget this occurrence, but as I recall it, you will remember each and every detail fully. Now, bear this in mind while I repeat what I know of this event. You will recall fully and completely everything just as it happened. And more than that, you will re experience the various conflicting emotions you had at the time in which you feel exactly as you did while this occurrence was taking place. Now, the particular event of which I'm going to tell you is this. Some time ago, you met a man prominent in academic circles who manifested an interest in you and who was in a position to aid you in securing a certain research fellowship in which you are most interested. He made an appointment with you to see him at his home, and on that day, you called at the designated hour. When you knocked at the door, you met not by this gentleman, but by his wife, who greeted you cordially and was very friendly, making you feel that her husband had given a good account of you to her. She explained apologetically that her husband had been called away for a few moments, but he had returned shortly and had asked you to be made comfortable in the library. You accompanied her to this room where she introduced you to a charming girl who was obviously very shy and reserved and who she explained was her only daughter. The mother then requested your permission to go about her work, explaining that the daughter would be happy to entertain you while you waited. You assured the mother that you would be very comfortable, and even now you can recall the glow of pleasure you experienced at the thought of having the daughter as a hostess. Okay, it goes on and on. He basically he talks about the cigarette with the phallus. Um, Rapidly mounting impatience. So he's basically okay. It goes on and on, but basically conditioning. Earlier, he talks about the ashtray. The cigarette is like the vagina. The ashtray is like the penis. Um, so it just goes on and on and on. But this is so breaking the ashtray like represents breaking of the womb, this and that. So all this psychosexual stuff for a completely fabricated event that's programmed that he recalls as if it really happened to him. So this is very important. This uses also that, the memory palace like technique, right? Which was, comes from Rome or Greece, where, to memorize, huge amounts of knowledge, you visualize like this inner memory palace, right? With different rooms, and these different rooms have different symbols, etc. But this memory palace, just think about the media conditioning you to experience events as if you will recall this event as it happened to you. But the event is being put into you. The event never happened to you. The event is being implanted into you. So I could go on and on. I realize that trying to explain all the sexual symbolism with the ashtray and the phallus is a little bit over the top, but it's showing that this is what he's doing, and it's quite advanced.
And it's kind of what the news is doing with 9/11, never forget, and they're like showing us what Obama or Osama did this, and they were going hard on telling us, oh yeah, the floor's pancaked, and yes, the floor's pancaked. I know that is the true. Just like William was saying, this guy, his family member was saying, yeah, Charlie Kirk was shot by this guy. I know that's true, but why would I know anything different? That it's imposed on them, this reality.
So the next one is this investigation of a specific amnesia. So another one, this is from 1933, the British Journal of Medical Psychology, Cambridge, legit, medical academia place. Let's see. Where he's at Worcester State Hospital, Massachusetts at that time.
Worcester.
Worcester, thank you. Whatever.
Worcester, yeah.
I'm terrible. Sorry.
It's Worcester. But this specific amnesia. That's interesting, Like
Yeah.
that's very important, I think.
I'll read the summary. In summary, the problem investigated was an attempt to recover the content of a specific amnesia of the identity of a Christmas gift without the aid of supplementary information. Techniques of free association alone, free association and direct questioning and hypnosis, automatic writing, and crystal gazing were tried without success. So they're trying automatic writing and crystal gazing. Holy smokes. Finally, by means of a specious argument concerning the existence of a third level of consciousness and the permission to use disguise mechanisms, the forgotten material was actually obtained, but in such guise that its true significance was not recognized. Then, by means of dream activity, a situation was created whereby the subject, without assuming the responsibility, could circumvent the repression. Following this, a conflict state developed, characterized by the alternate repression of two ideas, and ultimately resolved by the attachment of the effect to a related subject, from which it was eventually dispelled. The motivation of the amnesia was not learned until months later, when the subject disclosed its origin to lie in an emotional conflict concerning two men. And the complexity of these like techniques and stuff. Now, the other document used the term abreaction or abreact, which I remember the Scientologists use. So I'm like seeing this kind
That
of like
Philip K. Dick
resonation into
uses that all the time.
this stuff.
that's
Yeah,
for listeners, that's when your body feels the same feelings as it did when it was being abused. When you have the memory, your body is remembering it too, and you're feeling it again. So that's what abreaction is.
Well, in a sense, it's like you could almost say it's like you're going fully back into that state. You're
Right.
experiencing it completely. You feel it in your body. It's like you're
It's like a
present.
timelessness back to where back
Yeah,
in time. Yeah.
yeah. Just from just the beginning, um, what he does mention again, just to highlight this in it, this is from the first paragraph, but in achieving the desired results, use was made of various psychological techniques of free association, hypnosis, automatic writing, crystal gazing, and dream activity. The complexity of psychological phenomena, the successful use of disguise mechanisms, the apparent, though perhaps artificial sublevels of consciousness, and the peculiar behavior of the effect encountered all invite speculation and give rise to problems for investigation. Aren't those occult techniques also? Dream, crystal gazing, automatic writing,
Right.
I mean,
It
that's there.
was famous
New Age or
right
something.
around the turn of the century there. Everybody was doing it. And, like that's when Crowley was in his prime and Blavatsky was doing her thing. And they had the table tipping and the people were having seances on their big rich houses all over the place. That was
All right,
like
we're at
20
the
years
hour. We're
before
at the
that.
hour mark. I'm just going to go through some of these comments so I don't have to go through them all at the end. Johnny
All right.
Sumatra, welcome. Let's see. NW Shot Stop. A peace, love, and gratitude to you guys for your research and deep diving insights. Happy to be here live. Watch your previous 10 parts of the series in the last few days. Incredible. Thank you very much. Appreciate the compliment. Please share it, guys, if you can. Johnny's here. Hey, Johnny. Welcome. Jacqueline sending love from Cumbria, England. Great. Thanks for listening. Super sticker, killer connections. Thank you very much. Anything you can provide. So, really, one of the best things you can do, which costs you no money, is just share the show, guys. If you're on social media, think it's good, tell your friends. If you're out having a pint or you're at dinner or whatever, just recommend the show. That's all you can do. You don't have to have any money out of your pocket. It's worth actually more. Johnny Sumatra. Has anyone ever found an online platform that was a common denominator for these alleged MK Ultra patsies? Discord, a claiming site that could profile, select, and program candidates online via hypnosis conditioning. I have not, but you see that people the one that comes to mind is that guy Gendron, who was with an ex FBI agent. FBI, we're talking to the FBI now. Ex FBI agent, and then he traveled to Buffalo, New York, and shot all those people. If you remember that. That's super sus.
I know about Discord. I've been part of Discord, and it makes these little private chats between people. It's like the chats of Facebook, but and you can go into different rooms and really specify what you're talking about, what kind of programming you choose to receive. That 764, they're all over Discord, and they're and so they can really specify like who they're dealing with, and they can really find it's a good sifting mechanism because like it allows them to chat and talk it all out, and then they can read and see and evaluate people's mental state and like where, you know.
Again, in a decade, if you look from, you go from Columbine all the way back to 200 years, there's what, 5 or 6 mass shootings total. You again, I'm just bringing that up because the numbers jump up, and so you're looking at thousands of. You're looking at like averages, about 600, 500 to 600 a year since actually 2026, 25 is only I think 463 right now as a compared to 2023, which was almost 800. So these are 800 mass shootings. Like even that thing, the National Guard thing is not on the list because it's not a mass shooting. It has to be at least 4 people killed or injured. So it has to be more than 4 and above. So to go through and aggregate all these people, because this National Guard thing, yeah, he shot 2 people. All the other mass shootings, they're not reported. There's look how many were in Ohio. You live in Ohio, right? Have you seen any of these things reported? No. They are not reported at all, except for occasionally. So to look at these, I bet that's actually a great point because I bet there's some commonalities, but then this stuff, and how do you even find data on that? Because these are almost all these stories are just in local newspapers, and then they never hit the national press. Except, selectively they do, but they don't. We'd be inundated. Like, why are people not freaked out about this?
And then they do give us the Boston bombing and these other things that have like obvious actors and staged events to, but I mean, that was
Sarnia brothers were
controlled.
handled. They were taken somewhere to the Caucasus, and they had weird state connections. Very strange.
Of course. See, right? I didn't know that, but of course,
yeah, they do. They had I think their uncle or their dad had some kind of connection to government agencies like NGOs.
Right. And that whole scenario made it so that Boston was allowing cops to come in their house. Everyone was just open doors. Cops were allowed in the house with guns because they're supposedly looking for this guy. And so it became normal, right? So they did control that situation. Like it had a purpose, but the mass shootings, we don't see that, like that is kept under wraps, I guess. I wonder what they're doing, why they're doing it.
Let me get through these. Jack Delaney, good morning. Good morning, Killer Connection. God bless you guys. Speak to you soon about Malott. Yep. Jug, love this SHIT good series. Thank you. Please share it. Targeted individual, good morning. 2024, 48 days, there was 49. Wow, that's a lot. Saitochi, welcome. Project Stardate, Somnambulism. Satoshi knows Johnny Walker well. Yeah, some of us do. I have 3 shrinks, by the way. I have 3. I'm willing to admit it. And it's Johnny Walker, Jim Beam, and Jack Daniels. Those are my That's a fun kind of drinker joke. Kelly, when we see a hypnotism show on a stage where people look like the chicken, is it real? I think part of it is real. And you'll see this kind of process of kind of like what Esther Brooks talks about, where they go through and select subjects, because some people are asked to stand up and go back into the crowd. So like parsing for people who are possible people who are somnambulists and things like that. So I do think it's real. I do. Sumatra, trying-based mind control, yeah. Glyphit. Hey, William, Hans, and Sean. Much love from across the level topographical plane on the land called Italy. Great series. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. This series has gone all around the world. I've gotten compliments from England, Italy, Netherlands, Canada, US, obviously, but like all over the place. Shotstopper. Continually have to remind myself it was 1930. Start thinking about how it's evolved to present day. Yeah, good point. We think the same thing, I think. Bart, Sean, and Hans, you need to read up on the late psychologist Dr. Felix Polk. His wife and killer is still in prison. He'd abused her under hypnosis as a patient since she was a teen. He was a total sicko. Dr. Felix Polk. Well, we're just unveiling all these guys. Like Erickson's been pretty much exposed, not as a nice, grandfatherly psychologist, but a brutal guy. So maybe there's many more other ones. Dr. Felix Polk. Like some of these guys get away with it, like the dark ones. Like you just, Jolly West is this really well? He's not the only one. It sure seems like. Skinnerian Box, Saxon Ranger. Goodbye, Johnny. Hello, Tommy. Who was sleeping while you're walking? Yeah. Mind can hack. Sean McCann, great guest. Yes.
McCon.
Thank
Resonant
you.
State,
Thank you.
McCon.
That's
That's a good pseudonym. You can mix that up.
Oh man.
Keep the FBI on their toes. You know, you gotta
McCon.
have a couple pseudonyms. Can you say Erica Kirk? I don't think Erica's hypnotized. She's a willing participant. I don't know what that means.
Oh,
Look at
Kirk
Freud.
thing. Kirk.
Erica
The
Kirk.
wife is Erica.
Erica Kirk.
Yeah,
You're right.
Kirk.
Yeah.
She's like a
Mind
scam.
hack. Look at Freud covering up all that child abuse with his goofy theory. I think there's something to that. Kanye West. Yeah, good point. I've done a show on that guy's Harley Pasternak. I couldn't tie Pasternak to other mind control doctors because it's a Jewish name. There is a couple of psychiatrists, but
Well,
he's using those things.
No, his fitness guy was his handler, right?
Harley Pasternak. That's
Yeah,
it.
Pasternak. Yeah, no,
we
he
did a
100%.
show with Brett.
Okay.
We played clips of him speaking about the drugs that he uses to, like, when he's doing this stuff. And we saw the text that he gave Kanye. I'll put you in, what do you say? Neverland or something. And you'll never see your kids won't be the same. Like, sorry, Hans, go ahead.
Oh, he's a handler, right? So he's there, and he's either making sure that doing some installation, but also maintaining. He's there as a maintenance for the hypnotic conditioning programming,
Right.
and also as a director, right? But he's obviously one step along the chain, and obviously, a lot of times through this industry, describing, looking at the hip hop stuff where some of it, I didn't get. I'll tell you the truth, like I didn't see any of the really wacky stuff, but I was around some of these guys, like, in the studio in Cleveland and stuff. And they live a pretty wild lifestyle, man. They'll just have sex with someone right in the room, stuff like that. Like just drugs. I'm like, whoa, I'm not that wild, but the thing of where they have to engage in this ritual humiliation and the sodomy, right? The sodomy is, in a sense, it's not necessarily gay. It is the initiation. It is also the trauma bonding and the essentially selling your soul. Okay, I will take it up the butt in order to be a star. I'll do anything. And, look at Justin Bieber. He's, these people, the thing is the manipulation and, the greed, the lust, but then also the diabolical nature of all these programming conditioning. But then you got some like Pasternak is there to make sure they function within their role. And
he had a huge stable. Oh, you can go to his website and like there's 50 or 100 well-known stars. Like I just saw all these faces. Some people have met a very strange end too, but like he was just their trainer under no guys at all, right? Like, so this same concept of guys and these people who know these techniques is just all the way to the present. One of the interesting things about Kanye is that Candace is now the #1 podcast in the world, and she mentions Kanye West all the time. And here he is being handled and intimidated, like in this kind of Ericksonian method or something like that.
They did that White Lives Matter thing together. Remember, they had the T-shirts, White Lives Matter, just to piss everybody off, like it was a trolling thing for the Black Lives Matter people. But I just want to say that the giving up of their butthole, like that is the cup of abominations. That's like Mystery Babylon, like when you drink from that cup, okay, that's filth and abominations. You know what I mean? And that's the entry level. That's how you get. It's even in the Bible. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. I mean, just the gravy work that those Hollywood people have to do in order to be rewarded with all that they get. They have to drink from the sacred scarlet whore's cup of abominations, and ride the beast.
Right. What is it? The Eye of Horus? That's what Crowley called it.
Yeah. The mouth of Isis is no good for him.
Right. That's right. That's what he said. Yeah. That's
crazy people. I mean, like that's. Anyway, yeah.
All right, so let's get back to these. Freddie Prinze was Senior was hypnotized and killed himself. I'm not aware of that. Somebody could send me an email. That's Jamie. Thanks, Jamie. Luminous Alux. They can do this hands off now from afar. I think you're right. Mind hack. They show you the technique movie, A Clockwork Orange, for sure. It's the Ludovic method.
Right.
Jamie Wilson Finkelstein speaks like that. Perhaps it's a Jewish thing. Maybe. May just be a skill these guys develop in public speaking is to induce people. Cambodia. Are
Well,
we my zero?
again, I mean, there's certain things people have known about them. A lot of these things, even psychology, it's supposedly a new discipline. I mean, you find lots of psychology in religious books, you find it in philosophy. Psychology existed, it just didn't have that name. So people were able to induce types of hypnosis, whether or not they knew how they're doing it. Or especially in occult stuff, though, I think a lot of the stuff that was potentially, coming from magical practices moved over into science, right? Why you doing crystal gazing or whatever, and so, but
Here's Johnny. Were magician shops and magic shows potentially early recruitment sites for victim subject or operators, devotees of hypnotism? I would say that's probably true. There's something to that. Look up the Magical Child in New York City and the Magic Circle. Sean's done a lot of work on that. It ties into Eyes Wide Shut. Like, you're not making this stuff up. It's not a joke. Mind Hack, they push NLP. We mentioned that in the Temple of Set. Jamie, I saw this new podcast that suggested that Folger overheard someone say that Saran was hypnotized by William Kruger, and there was, well, yeah, he's been around. Hypnotized. Saran was passed around. There's a meeting of him with Manly P. Hall at that kind of like occult place on, so like close to where actually one of the Manson killings happened. I can't remember the segment of LA that is, but
Manly P. Hall was into the Eye of Horus.
Oh, I bet he was into everything. He was into everything, but he was also a master hypnotist. Of course, they all are. Wayne Dyer shouldn't talk. He's one of them. Let me just get through this. Jello Head Jabroni, part 11, still want more.
Oh.
No, P.S. Michaela Peterson interviewed a girl promoting NLP because she had done it to herself and recovered from pain. I think it was interesting. Kelly, thanks, Kelly, for listening. A lot of self-help and seductive advice is kind of psychotic, like treating people's objects as if of you, a will and magical opinion. Yes. Thank you. Luminous, something old, completely relevant now, no doubt. Books are good. Mind Hack, I'm a Christian, but you can even see some of these principles in church services with control of the audience and especially with political rallies. Absolutely no question. Absolutely no question. I've done shows on Danny Trejo. I think I showed Danny Trejo in this show.
That was part of this series.
Yeah,
part of the series, and I actually showed that
clip.
Yeah.
When I was on Tinfoil Hat. I showed it to Tripoli too.
Well, he was
Johnny
trained.
What?
Manson was trained, right? So obviously he received advanced training going through all these stints in the state hospital.
He was a clear Scientologist. So all the stuff we're talking about bleeds into Scientology.
Clear zero.
Magnetic, right? True. Cold Fact. See everyone. Hi, Cold Fact. Welcome. Mind Hack. Let's see back on YouTube. Thanks, Mind Hack. I'm back for now, but you never know. Was Freud an OG hypnotist? I don't know. Enjoyed your book on Crowley and One Death Cult. Thank you. Cambodia. This means they can do hypnotize people going along with political setups and pleading guilty. Tyler Robinson is so clearly not guilty. He will plead and disappear. Yes, which leads me directly to this video, which we will watch now.
Oh, sweet.
But I haven't talked about this yet today, but you've been in, we mentioned at the beginning, we just haven't gone into it.
Yeah.
You've been in the courtroom
Yeah.
for the Tyler Robinson thing, post Charlie Kirk, because you live out in Salt Lake.
Right. I live in Salt Lake, which is people diss Salt Lake so much. I don't know whether it's like Mormons, they
Probably
diss
just
or
the
whatever.
Mormon thing.
Great people. So I love Salt Lake. It's so good. But I was there. I live there. And of course, the very first hearing that I attended, it was so weird. So get this. I thought, this is a high profile case. Would you say it's a high profile case?
Yeah.
Thank you. So would you expect a ton of people to show up?
Probably.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I expected. I got there early. I went up and there's maybe, like, give and take, obviously I didn't count, but maybe 20 people.
Biggest political assassination in recent history, and only 20 people showed up in Salt Lake City to see the hearing. That's incredible. Even just local journalism. That means there's some kind of like order behind. There's clearly a gag order, but like only 20 people show up. Where's even the independent media?
There.
But you got to.
That's it. Journalists.
This is state court.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, why?
It's a state criminal case, guys. So it's not the FBI. The FBI said a lot of things about it and supposedly got all that information and through Patel or whatever, but it's being prosecuted at the state level, not a federal level.
Why is it just us? Why is it not like lines of people trying to get in. So that's awkward.
Yes.
But all right, let's move on, right? We go in. They're like, no phones. Phones in the pocket. I'm like, well, I don't have pockets, and I don't have, I don't have a purse. I never have a purse, like rarely, right? Like, sorry, bag. I do have a purse, but it's small purse. So I'm like, I have nothing to put this in. So because what they told us was, if we see a phone in your hands, you're out. Why so strict?
Is that
Like,
is that legal?
I don't know. I don't honestly.
It is illegal. You're allowed to make those rules to make sure nothing's filmed in a courtroom, but the overemphasis, I think, is telling.
I don't know if it's
either.
legal, but it's a public trial, right? Like, it's a public the thing. So you would think that should not be a problem. And their excuse was, well, we don't want to make a circus out of it. Like, no filming, no nothing.
It should be a circus. They just killed the guy supposedly killed the future of the right wing in the United States. The guy was 31 years old.
I think, okay, no one's filming. Can I just freaking have a phone like on me?
Yeah.
So I had to like put my phone in between my legs and hide it. What if they saw that I have it in my hand or something, right?
Yeah, now it's on camera. You admitted it. Uh-oh.
What are they gonna do? Like,
Come arrest you.
Yeah, F them. So anyway, the point is, I had so they said you will be ousted, right? I'm sitting there listening. The whole Tyler Robinson persona was weird. Like, the guy never moved. I said this multiple times. Like, he was there like a zombie.
Guy never
right.
moved. He was there like a zombie. Wow. So there you go.
Yeah, we remember that from the Aurora shooting guy.
Yeah.
He was the same way, total zombie.
Total zombie. Yeah, so that's the Tyler Robinson. Look up Cognify. They proposed to prisoners in their prison sentence and mentally punishment is listed on YouTube as a prison of the future. Cognify, very creepy. That's luminous.
Do it
Lux.
mentally.
I'll check it out.
Ooh, that is bad. No
Watch
way.
the
I
whole
saw
TV
that. Yeah, that clip was really scary. How they're going to put years of prison into your head in just a few minutes with like lasers and shit.
Yeah, the implantation of false memories, all amnesia. This is really amazing stuff. Kelly, I felt the same.
Just like
thing with
Demolition
shoes.
Man, that movie there. They like give you experiences, lived experience memories that go into your own memory, just like it's normal, like fake memory.
Well, that's what I brought up. That guy with the premature ejaculation, he creates this false memory, but then it says that it goes on to describe how even though he kisses a girl and he has premature ejaculation, but then it says, oh, he was able to perform all night very well, even after that, and he felt, instead of being ashamed of it, he felt proud or something. So, but that was a false memory, and what. Okay, maybe this specific problem is taken care of, but what has been implanted in your brain behind that? Normal function means what? Anyway, well, should we dive
Ray,
back into the
I'm not
here?
done with the comments yet. Hold on.
This is
Ray
great,
Douglas,
Level.
great series. Thank you, Ray. Luminous, heavily on conspiracy forums, yes. Mindhack didn't have Discord. They all did, yeah. Discord. Metal detectors in all schools, yes, there's no question. Let's see. Luminous says, agreed. I have 2 crimes I noted last year that never made the bigger local news, hushed up effectively. Yeah. Came upon them because of independent crime journalism. Yeah, the state media is state media. Saxon. Hey, Charlie, at a point, though, a lot of mass shootings are gang violence. I think you're right. Let's see. Lovely. Listen to Manly. I learned double speak. Yeah, I believe it. Let's see, Brother BD. What's your opinion on the Christian anti-Semitism psyop on X with JQ Radio? I think they're trying to create a scapegoat. I don't know what that means. Is it a impetus that people don't like Jews? I don't know what that's a psyop.
I know what the Jewish Question Radio or whatever. I've got a friend that actually goes and he participates in the spaces, and I went and listened a couple times, and a lot of them are, they just to piss people off, they just start saying white power and shit. Like, I think that they don't have sound mind, I don't think. Anyway.
Union. How often is it that these stars eventually commit legitimate suicide, not as a form of silencing a la Epstein, but because they are so depressed and distraught, trying to cope with a lot? I bet a lot of them. There's tons of abuse and drug abuse in Hollywood. It's a horrible place. Terrible place. Let's see. Saxon, programmed to kill Patrick's channel a lot. Seems like the mass shooters are the replacement for the serial killers. Sure seems like that. Cold fact, interest in the channel. Thank you. Show me a pic of Erica pregnant. Yeah, show me a pic of Michelle Obama pregnant. That'd be good. And that's it. Zootropy. Hey, thanks for following, everybody. Really appreciate it. 200 live listeners. Share the show if you get a chance. And then we're done. Let's go back to the text.
That's great. 200 live. Thank you, people, for listening. That's great.
Where are we? I guess we're at this new document right here. This one, the follow-up is Hoover from Esterbrook. Anybody want to read that? We're at page 166 now. We're actually almost at the middle part.
I'll take it if you want it.
Okay.
So, Mr. Hoover from George Estabrooks, I wish to thank you for your last communication. Needless to say, I very much appreciate the attitude of the Bureau in this work. Should I be in Washington during the summer, I shall certainly avail myself of the opportunity to talk matters over. I find myself getting more and more of a research interest in the problem, and I am hoping that in the course of the summer, I will be able to obtain reactions from various authorities in the country concerning what appears to me to be the crux of the situation. A, the development of the disguised technique. B, some test which will indicate a good subject. I also hope to have the opportunity of seeking such work as is proceeding at Illinois on the magnetic field arrangement. I must say that I don't know very much about it, but hope to obtain such information. I wish you would note the 2 reprints, which seem to be, to me, interesting pieces of work, which has just come out on hypnotism. These are Respiration and Heart Action in Sleep and Hypnosis by Arthur Jennis and Charles L. Wibble, University of Nebraska. Electrocardiograms during Sleep and Hypnosis by Jennis and Wibble. I will be seeing Jennis, I hope, sometime during the summer. He is a very able man on research. Do please give my very sincerest regards to Mr. Nathan, Mr. Coffee, Mr. Tam, and the various other folks in Washington. Most cordially yours, G.H. Estabrooks.
The next one.
Yeah.
Comment. Yeah.
Okay. I wish to thank you very much for the 2 latest pamphlets which you have sent to me, namely Problems in Modern Law Enforcement and the Publisher. It seems to me that these are very excellent articles. I have glanced through them, but I am going to digest them at leisure just as soon as this very hectic college year is finished. Perhaps I have the situation sized up wrong, but in my opinion, the most important piece of research yet to be done on this matter of hypnotism now centers up around the problem of some sort of disguised test for the determining of susceptibility. I am convinced that this quite practical and simply needs a little hard work. It just happens that it falls into a problem which interests me, so that I am hoping to get some real ideas along these lines before the summer is over. At any rate, in the course of my wanderings, which may include Washington, I should meet some people who can help me. Do please give my very best regards to my friends in the Bureau. Most cordially yours, G.H. Estabrooks. Do you guys want to comment?
Well, just first of all, disguise technique, right?
Yeah.
The infiltration, you have the doctor go for the treatment, white coat, take a test, and you're actually being tested for something else, right? And there's
just like Scientology, right?
Yep. Yep. And so that's an important thing. And then again, the magnetic field stuff, I don't know to what extent. I mean, we're talking in the 30s. So people think this is very advanced. So who knows? I mean, because the whole brain is electromagnetic. We are electromagnetic field structures. So to what extent this has been much, further developed than we know about. But I think by tracing the roots is important of that. So that's all.
Yeah, the disguise that's what the occult is to disguise their technique, and mind control ensues.
Right. Or secrecy. That's the whole thing. I think there's one scholar out there that said like a third of our entire reality is behind some kind of top secret or classification in the United States. So the implication of COVID or these wars or the mind control or the control of the media or the fusion centers or all this stuff, we'll never find out unless people get the FOIA or it's released. We just have no idea. They were slaves. It's just a whole hellscape. Anybody want to read this conference with Dr. DJ Stout on hypnotism?
Okay.
It's May 7th, 19th. Okay, let's do it.
Okay. Here we go. Oh, wait, just a second. Okay, Dr. Stout.
It's 168.
Okay. Acting on your instructions, I had a conference with Dr. DJ Stout seeking his views as to whether the experimental or actual practice of hypnotism on subjects would have any detrimental effects on those subjects or would have any danger whatsoever to the Bureau. In substance, Dr. Stout's opinion was that no such detrimental effects would result. He stated that although he does not himself practice hypnotism, he believes he has gone sufficiently into the subject to be certain of his position that neither physical nor mental injury would accrue to the subject. Dr. Stout did state that he doubted whether worthwhile results would be obtained. I outlined to him in general what had been suggested to the Bureau so far by both Dr. Esterbrooks and Dr. Erickson, and he was of the opinion that it would be interesting to find out how far these men could go and receive instructions from them. But he would nevertheless reserved his opinion that in the end, nothing much would come of it. He stated that this opinion of his was based on the presently accepted tenet of hypnotism that a person under hypnotism will not furnish information or commit acts injurious to himself or opposed to his moral or ethical code. Well, on the subject of possible danger to subjects, I wish to add my comments that I notice a positive statement in a publication by Erickson to the effect that no ill effect can befall the subject during hypnotism. In view of these two statements and opposed to the statements of Dr. Esterbrooks that bad results may result from hypnotism if improperly used, I recommend that the Bureau continue its experimental work in this field. Respectively, EP Coffee.
There's no way to measure mental injury. It's all hidden in there. You know what I mean? They can do whatever they want, and the person outwardly is going to seem normal. I mean, look at the SRA people that are walking around. Look at the main character of Manchurian Candidate. He seemed like a normal guy. Everybody loved him, and all of a sudden he looks at a deck of cards and he just goes and jumps in some water or goes and shoots somebody. So it's the occultism, that's more of the hiding. They can just say, "Oh, there's no mental injury. Trust me, bro. It's okay."
I'm making my wife hold her arms in stress
Right.
position during lunch and make her tell about intimate details. Like the guy he made the guy into basically the article, the first one of Erickson. The guy's basically a sex maniac now. Now he's doesn't have pre-marriage, but he's like total sex maniac. So he's cured. I mean.
That'll fix the problem.
He swung the pendulum the other way. I like to trust me. I'm a doctor. I know what I'm doing. Don't worry about it.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah. They wear a robe too. They got their white robe.
yeah, it's just a different one. They all have robes, like judge robes, doctor robes.
Right.
So
And the Luciferians wear the white robes. The higher ups, they got the white ones. the Levian Satanists wear the black stuff, but there's levels there too. So we saw that with Obama's husband there, when they did that Oprah Winfrey talk, and she was like wearing white and being the Luciferian, like shine the light or some shit. I forget what they were talking about, but they were like white priestesses and they're Luciferian. Anyway, I'll shut up. I'm sorry. It's way off topic.
170. Anybody want to read this one? Memorandum for the director.
Go ahead, William, if you want.
Okay. Memorandum for the director, April 21st, 1937, with regard to the attached correspondence with Dr. G.H. Esterbrooks and supplementing conversation with Mr. Tolson, it will be noted that in response to a specific inquiry, Dr. Esterbrooks states as follows, quote, with reference to the possible dangers arising from the use of hypnotism, I do not think there's any doubt that bad effects may result from hypnotism if it is improperly used. On the other hand, I think that the consensus of opinion in the entire field would be that results should only be beneficial when it is employed in the hands of an expert, unquote. I do not place a great deal of credence in the above. I believe that Esterbrooks is endeavoring to place himself in the forefront to the exclusion of any Bureau representatives who may soon learn as much as he knows. Interesting. So they're claiming Esterbrooks is angling himself in there. However, in view of your instructions, no experimentation will be made upon Bureau personnel or employees. I would recommend, however, that hypnotic technique be studied and developed in connection with the use of the lie detector on subjects under Bureau investigation in Washington, Philadelphia, New York, or nearby field offices. An endeavor has been made to secure the cooperation of the field offices in furnishing these subjects in recent months with very little success. Very truly yours, recorded H. Nathan. And then I think this is from
So trust the
Hoover,
experts, right?
Yeah.
That's the new religion, right?
Is this a crime situation? This is Hoover to Hoover from Esterbrooks. I don't know. Maybe I can read this. Mr. Hoover, I again wish to thank you for another of those very interesting reprints of your addresses. Allow me to congratulate you on the perfectly marvelous piece of work which the Federal Bureau of Investigation is performing. As a former British citizen, I've always had the greatest admiration for Scotland Yard and have even had the opportunity of seeing through their laboratories. It seems to me that your
Right.
bureau is probably doing more to inculcate in the average American a respect for law and order than any other body that we have with us. Incidentally, I imagine you are also training the potential criminal to be a little more circumspect in his activities. I think one of the most hopeful signs we have is the rather intense desire of certain cities and other organizations too, as one of my friends puts it, to out G-men. The motive may not be the very best, but the result should at least have some effect upon the crime situation. I was noticing a remark by Chancellor Chase of New York University the other night in an article of his cut down for the Reader's Digest. He commented upon the growth of classes in scientific crime detection in our various institutions of higher education. I think a great deal more can be done along those lines than is generally supposed, and would look forward to the opportunity of doing a real thorough job with such a proposition were I in a position of handling a curriculum of my own. It has been a real pleasure to work with your bureau. I think the particular line of interest which I followed and which attracted your attention has more or less boiled down to a pretty restricted problem concerning which I hope to do some research work this summer. After all, the whole thing is pretty much offside from the common sense point of view, and I realize must be handled rather carefully. Nevertheless, I do hope that I will be able to clear up the one or two really naughty problems which still exist in this particular field. Do please keep me on your mailing list, and remember my interest is still very much unabated. G.H. Esterbrooks, so signed by him. Sent to the files. And there's like a trial by hypnotism picture. John Carden, 38, convicted as a payroll bandit, being placed in a state of hypnosis by Dr. A. Herbert Cantor in Ohio's penitentiary at Columbus. A few minutes after the hypnotized Carden reiterated his innocence, a fellow prisoner confessed the crime. Police said the evidence was not conclusive. 1937.
Doesn't look very comfortable the way he's lying there, right?
It really doesn't. Got his arms over his head.
Rack him.
Is there an electrogalvanometer on there?
Yeah, right. Strain all urine.
Yeah. Let's see. This is
Let's
Esther
see.
Brooks. I received his acknowledgement of your letter June 30th, 1937, in which you so kindly advised me of 2 books, Prediction of Hypnotic Susceptibility from a Knowledge of Subjects' Attitudes, and 2 types. There's just tons of there's a ton of stuff people studying this in 1937. There's just no question about it. And this is Estabrook saying he had a conference of Dr. White at Harvard's Psychological Clinic in Cambridge. It seems to me he is doing perhaps the best work in the country on this particular phase of the problem. Incredible stuff.
Just to foreground this, prediction of hypnotic susceptibility from a knowledge of subjects' attitudes. So surveys, questionnaires, you know what I mean? Even marketing, there's a lot of this derivative, you can embed not just, Scientology, which is pretty over the top, but just even in general stuff, right? Take a personality test, or just fill out this questionnaire to get a job at AT&T, or whatever. You know what I mean? You ask you to fill out all these questionnaires. This is also can be a predictor of susceptibility or types of susceptibility, which is being done almost 100 years ago.
Think of the levels now that they've got with the social media and all the digital everything. And
Do you want to take an IQ test or whatever? I don't know.
Yeah.
Take a personality test. I mean, imagine all that stuff. Crazy. So
You
this
wanna
is
be
like,
Sirhan, yeah.
how did they find him? That's like one of the interesting. How did he get on their radar? Like that's one of the interesting questions, because he came from a super traumatic background. He was during the founding of Israel in 48. He was a Christian his family was Christian Palestinian. They were kicked out of their like house and bombings, and it was just colossal amounts of violence, like poisoning wells and all kinds of stuff. And he saw like all that. So
I wonder if that's one of the purposes of destroying Gaza so much, is to make them all so traumatized that they can all be Grok the Clown, and their children too. Like the people that live in Gaza that survived are all children, right?
if they make it, yeah, very much.
Yeah.
I
I
think
wonder,
so.
I mean, it's probably on purpose. I don't know. Anyway.
Let's see. Why don't we try this one? Anybody want to read 184?
I can read this.
184.
Yep, I can read. This is okay. Worth Distributors, Chemical Products. They've got a fancy. No, I'm on the wrong one.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
183.
Manufacturer agents.
183.
Yeah, so this is a chemical
Is that one?
company this is from their letterhead, Chemical Products, manufacturers agents. So, dear Mr. Hoover, you and your department could never have made the unique progress which is profoundly appreciated by all thinking Americans if you are not desirous of increasing your means that are instrumental in coping with the everlasting problems that are constantly confronting you. I am aware of the fact that you are pressed for time, and therefore I shall state my case briefly. Since 1927, this writer has hypnotized 1,068 different persons and has carefully observed the reactions and behavior in general of the persons in such state. I have intensively and extensively studied a great deal of the psychological and psychiatric literature dealing with the problems of hypnotism, being wholeheartedly and intrinsically interested in these problems, and moreover getting some unique results such as breaking up different habits. I sincerely believe that research work in this field, which is in its infancy, could be put to great advantage to your department. You're indubitably acquainted with the fact that a person never lies in a state of hypnosis. This fact alone, in my opinion, is obviously of great importance to your department. Briefly, herein are salient data concerning myself: BS, Colorado State College, postgraduate work, 1 full year at University of Kentucky, AM in psychology at the University of Missouri. At present, I'm employed as manager of the company using this letterhead, but I am unhappy in this work. I would welcome very much an opportunity in some way to become affiliated with your department, putting some concrete use to my experience and knowledge of the psychology of hypnotism. If your department is not interested in such research work, I shall appreciate very much if you could refer me to any organization that may be interested in a psychologist who has had considerable experience with hypnotism. Thank you very much in advance and beg to remain truly Mr. Robert Pepper.
Dr. Pepper.
Wow.
So, I mean, they keep stating a person never lies under hypnosis. They say it like it's true. And it's part of their basis of understanding all of this stuff. But is that true? How do they know that? You know, like they say it like it's a fact. Oh, you remember, no one ever lies. It's like something that they've trained into them to say. It's like, this is, you know what I'm saying? How could they have never lied when they're turned into a chicken on stage? You know, how is that not a lie? It's a human. Why are they a chicken? You know what I mean?
Right.
That's a lie right there. Like, anyway.
Let's see. Anybody want to read this one? This is between Esther Brooks and Hoover. This is 186.
Go ahead.
Mine.
Just one thing, this Robert Pepper guy, I tried to look him up, Dr. Pepper, right? Sergeant Pepper, but
Right.
I can't find anything on him. He seems to be just sort of, an anomaly, so, or whatever.
And pepper is the black as opposed to the white, you know. So, okay, this is 186. Harvard University Psychological Clinic, Cambridge, Massachusetts. Dear Dr. Estabrooks, I have just been looking for the results of Dr. Sevech's experiments in retaliation to hypnotic susceptibility, of which we spoke on your recent call here. As we were able to obtain only 9 subjects who had been tested for hypnosis, it is, of course, impossible to be greatly impressed by coefficients of correlation, but the results are so encouraging that we are going to continue the investigation next fall. You remember that Sevech, I don't know how to pronounce his name, measured the duration and extent of the involuntary rising of the arm when a weight which it had been supporting was suddenly removed. Between hypnotic susceptibility and the duration of rise, we found with our 9 subjects a correlation, and the duration of rise we found with our 9 subjects a correlation of not 0.71, negative 0.71, and with extent of rise 0.15, extent and duration show a positive correlation of 0.48, and a composite rank order in which both are included correlates with hypnotic susceptibility at 0.58. It seems possible that we have here a valid way of estimating hypnotic susceptibility by a technique which is wholly free from resemblance to hypnosis or suggestion. So that's the undetected part, right, they were looking for. Of course, we are anxious to use a great many more subjects before we congregate ourselves on having discovered anything. Congratulate ourselves. I thought, however, that you would like to be informed of even these slender indications. With best wishes, signed, sincerely yours, Robert W. White.
Right. So that's this connection. They're networking. Esther Brooks with Hoover, also with Harvard, right? So this is kind of like the precursor leading up to 53, right?
But they found a mathematical way of measuring how susceptible they are with this arm thing. And if anybody's done that, like they hold a heavy book out straight on their arm and then they lift the books off, your arm rises. I don't know, they used to do that in elementary school, like, ooh, look how weird. That's true, it happens. But then they can manipulate that, the amount of rise to the arm. It tells how much susceptibility they have. So that's very interesting.
Yeah,
It's also kinesiology, right? There's kinesiology, and then there's energetic kinesiology, which I absolutely recommend nobody get that because they can rewire it. It's very dangerous. technique, right? Because it uses basically the muscle. It comes from muscle testing. So, like, say if you hold something in your hand that's like toxic for you, your arm becomes weaker or stronger. Basically, it's a way of shutting down. The brain sort of shuts down, and then you put new programming in, right, through this muscle testing, lock unlock procedure. So this is kind of the roots of that. So even though may have good health benefits, it's very dangerous, and it is. I don't do it. I'm telling anybody who's hearing me. It's very
Thank you for
dangerous.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, my opinion.
It's just interesting. There's more correspondence between Esther Brooks and Hoover. Hoover saying, I received this from White. So Hoover's in the loop. I've read these with with interest and have turned them over to the Bureau's laboratory for further consideration. And that's the report furnished you by Dr. White in connection with research on hypnotic susceptibility. And then in accordance with your request, I'm transmitting a copy of each of the papers forwarded by you to Rear Admiral R.S. Holmes, Director of Naval Intelligence, Navy Department, Washington, D.C. So the networks continue, it's just remarkable.
Scientology, right? He has a Navy connection there.
Yeah. I mean, Hubbard was rumored to be Navy intelligence, right, during World War II. Adaptation of the tensive sense. What do you think?
That Sea Org shit is all trauma-based mind control. You know, the Sea Org, how they're out in the ocean where there's no laws, and they sign away their soul for 1,000 years or something. They're, that
like
they are
1,000,000 years.
abused. They are abused. Yeah, it's like 1,000,000 years exactly. But I mean, they're physically, mentally tortured. It's like the whole where the people who do bad in Scientology, they get sent to the Sea Org for punishment.
Right.
It's what do they do out there? It's all like, they can't just jump off the boat and swim away. They're trapped. It's really, anyway.
This is 199. This is Hoover, to Hoover from Esther Brooks. He's saying, this is for you, Hans. The two papers about auditory thresholds, change of auditory threshold, reverie as related to hypnotizability, 1937, and then a study of direct suggestibility and social introversion as related to auditory threshold and to reaction time during reverie. I don't have any idea what that means, but it's just interesting.
This is very important because this is where, you have your vagus nerve. You get certain types of things that are put out. This, that. Of course, this ties into balance, right, and also to spatial organization, perception. So slight fluctuations can have dramatic effects, right? And they're going to be. I think we talked about this at the very beginning, that are completely invisible, right? These are inducing a trance that are completely outside the range of consciousness, and you're not even going to know that you're in a trance. So it's not like, you're just, whatever, like in the shows, the stage shows, while they show like sort of extreme hypnotism, it makes people forget that people can be in a trance and you don't even know. They do not know they're in a trance. But there's a lot connected here with, how the nervous system, neurophysiology, I think it goes on and talks about this, right? This psychophysiology is very important to this whole process.
Agreed. I'm at 208. This is Hoagland sending something to Esther Brooks from Worcester, I guess. Worcester. I'm obviously not from the East Coast.
Yeah. You could say Worcester.
Worcester. I gotta get that
Worcester. Yeah.
Austin accent. I
It's
can't even do it.
Gloucester is how it's spelled, but it's Worcester. No, that's Gloucester.
Well, Gloucester.
Yeah, but yeah,
Gloucester.
Worcester is Worcester. Yeah. But I'll
dear
take
George,
over.
you want to do it? Go for it.
Yeah, right. Mr. Hoover, we're at 208.
I'm at 208. Right? Yeah, those are
okay.
all just kind of like not worthy.
Oh, I think you're at 207. Okay. All right.
That's
Dear George.
This is mine. Yeah.
Okay. So, dear George, I really believe that the electroencephalogram would probably turn out to be useful by way of a study of the percentage of the time alpha waves are present as an index of hypnotizability. How reliable this index would be if it exists is entirely a matter for research. It would be a bit of a major job to standardize it and work the thing out with a statistically reliable fashion. Unfortunately, it is just this that makes the job relatively impossible for us to tackle right now because of the press of work of our regular program. Had we a free apparatus and a suitable graduate student, it would be an excellent thing to try. I am afraid that rather superficial examination of the problem in the brief time in which it might be sandwiched into our program would contribute little or nothing. It is, however, a job which should be done. I do not believe, however, that we can plan in any definite way to tackle it for the present. As ever, Hoagland. Whatever his first name is.
I think it's Oakland, yeah.
Yeah.
Here,
Noticed that,
you want to read
like,
this next one?
just to chime in real quick, the use of brain states, right? So we think of, biofeedback and all this coming in the
Right.
70s. This is in the 30s, right? So EEG actually was around since 1912 or something like that. Initially used on dogs. So, anyways, yeah.
So is that the same thing that the girl was getting the test from in that Eyes Without a Face, where they were like testing her and they had the thing with the paper going and making the lines? Is that was that because she had the thing on her head that was
Yep.
reading the okay?
Yeah, it reads the electrical activity through, and it's sort of similar to the galvanic, like the skin thing, but it
Right.
shows different brainwave states. And I'll tell you the truth, like now I've sort of come to doubt a lot of these different things, but basically, just in case people don't know, you think it's alpha, beta, delta, theta, right? But it's actually beta is your normal,
Right.
supposed to be your normal conscious brain activity. Alpha state is more sort of a dreamlike, daydreaming state. Then you go into much almost like very deep, deep states of more like relaxation, etc. But there can be some of these become very intensely hypnotizable brain states. But and so it's interesting that again this is around from that period, and they're already looking at that.
Right. I mean, they had it in that movie, 1960 something, and then what was Eyes Without a Face was like 62 or something like that. But it wasn't 50s, I know, but still, they were like putting it out in the public, and this guy, crazy scientist who does weird tests on dogs, has got like cutting faces off girls and like giving tests, and it just rings the same as what we're hearing here in this document in my mind.
And just one other thing about that article, real quick. Previously mentioned, auditory threshold reverie state, which is alpha state, right? That's a sort of a hypnotic, dreamlike state.
Okay.
And personality type, social introversion, right? So they're looking at correlating certain personality types with the reverie state, and then auditory threshold, stimulus response pattern. So it's quite right. So again, you're correlating psychology with very specific things. I'd like actually probably look into that, but it's quite
Sounds
interesting, right?
Sounds like some stuff that happens at a Grateful Dead concert.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are we at? 207, 208?
I'm at 209. I think we just did this one, right? Didn't we just do Hoagland?
We did
No,
207.
no,
Now 208 is from Estabrooks to Hoover.
Right. He's talking about
Colgan.
Do you want to talk about that one?
December
Somebody wanna
11th.
do that?
I'll do that
right, do it.
unless Hans wants to take. Okay, go. Dear Mr. Hoover, I would like you to add the enclosed to my records. They have been doing very excellent work at the University of Illinois on this matter of orientation in the magnetic field. From the reports I have gathered, it seems to me that the resulting conditions in animals was something closely resembling animal hypnotism. I was also told that they were doing work on a machine to use on the human being. And this is 1937, December 11th. He's writing this. Professor Clark Hull at Yale is strongly of the opinion that this so-called animal hypnotism would have nothing to do with human hypnotism, even if such a machine works. I am inclined to agree with him. However, I think you should know that the individuals who are responsible for this research at the University of Illinois are apparently the kingpin is Dr. W.E. Burge, University of Illinois, Urbana, Illinois. He appears to be out of town quite a lot, and I would suggest that perhaps it would be easier to contact Mr. P.G. Kruger if you wish to do so on this matter. Cordially yours, Esther Brooks.
Copies destroyed 1964. So something survived. There's all these receipts and stuff. Let's see.
There's one that I think is just interesting and maybe a little bit ahead, but this is page 212, just to show his stance. I think it's great, if you don't mind. I'll read this real quick. This is George Estabrook to Hoover. I wish to thank you for the copy of your address on public duty and law enforcement. Frankly, I think your reactions on the parole situation are very much to the point, and someday the American public will probably be educated to the point where it will no longer tolerate this sort of thing. It would be so much simpler if we could just run in an iron-handed dictator who could handle all these things as they should be done. Unfortunately, if we look at the European situation, that doesn't seem to be such a good idea either. I guess the whole thing is just a question of education, and it isn't easy to education 120 million, especially when very powerful forces don't see eye to eye with your educational program. Sincerely, cordially yours, George Estabrook.
Wow.
So instead of a dictator, they gave us public schooling, and they're going to have the same result in the end, right?
He's saying iron-handed dictator, and notice he says education. So we're not talking about a process of education. You're talking about
mind control,
stamping,
yeah.
120 million. So education, it means like this is like a
reprogramming.
You're reprogrammed. You're walking out of there. You're not the same. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like the Pink Floyd video, another brick in the wall, right? Literally to education. Like this is like, it's like, you know, it's not to educate. No, to education, like permanently, like you are now educationed. You know?
Yeah, the way he used it grammatically, it's not. Yeah, it's funny that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, these are they're just interesting. They're like Hoover to Naval Intelligence to White at Harvard. All these things are really interesting. Talking about all this stuff. We're at the 2-hour mark, guys. I don't know what your time schedule's like.
I'm good, but I know that you've got a hard out at a certain time.
45 minutes.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm still good to go. If you
okay.
I don't know about Hans.
Mr. Brooks. Do you want to read 215, somebody? My 215, it starts with, I wish you could put the enclosed in my files.
I'll go ahead if you don't mind.
I'll be right back. I'll be right back.
You got it.
Okay. Dear Mr. Hoover, I wish you would put the enclosed in my files. It may turn out that one of the really important problems in this practical application of hypnosis is some means by which one can rapidly and safely induce unconsciousness in an individual who test shows will be a good subject. It will be then, I think, quite feasible to induce hypnotism in the following disorganized state of returning consciousness without his being able to put up any effective resistance. I have given this matter considerable thought and have talked with one or two authorities on this matter of the rapid induction of the unconscious state. My opinion is that the best means which could be universally applied would be relatively little skill is the use of ethyl chloride. I would point out that this drug is very easily obtained and its effects as an inhalant are very rapid, something in the line of seconds. On the other hand, it is dangerous if used over a prolonged period. I am assured, however, this be used merely as a device to produce momentary unconsciousness. And it would be both quick and safe and effective.
Yeah.
I close a copy for Admiral Holmes.
So, I mean, isn't the dissociative state of freeze, isn't that like at sudden hypnosis, like going to sleep all of a sudden? That's you know induced hypnotism by way of fear, right? Like the deer gets in the headlights, or the kid freezes when he's getting beat or whatever, because like psychologically, I don't know if logically they think that they're not going to get beat any harder if they just play dead or something, or if they just freeze. But that is a natural state of sudden disorganized unconsciousness, right?
Well, yeah, certainly. I mean, in this case, you're talking about, chloroform,
Well,
I
know that, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but it's that they go unconscious, and then in that return to consciousness, right? Sort of you're
Right,
you're
that's where,
waking up, then you induce the unconscious state, then you do the hypnotic programming as they start to wake up, where the full, and so
just like a Grateful Dead concert.
yeah, well, I mean, it's a shock, right? So, I bet there's multiple means, but I mean, this is very telling, right? Where they're actually just going to drug people, make them unconscious, and then, return into consciousness.
Right.
So
Yeah, they're reverting back to drugs, because before they were like, drugs are not helpful. We need hypnosis by way of speech. And then they're just like, well, let's get some drugs because we want it to be quick and easy, right? Okay.
Where are we at, guys? Or did we finish this one?
Yep.
I was just trying to send some text. I'm trying to do multiple things. I'm so freaking busy.
Okay, so we were at 214, 213 or whatever.
Okay. And this one,
ethyl chloride. You missed ethyl chloride. They were going to induce sudden unconsciousness in a disorganized state. That's what you missed. Anyway, with ethyl chloride.
Amazing. I think this is interesting too, because it involves Hoover and Tolson. This is March 24th, 1938. So we're kind of moving forward. Continued interest in the Federal Bureau of Investigation by administration. It is most encouraging, I assure you, to receive approbation from such outstanding community leaders as yourself. And I did want to thank you for your kind words, J. Edgar Hoover and Clyde. So he's an upstanding member of society. Oh, man, this is a good one. To Tolson from Esther Brooks, March 11, 1938. Dear Mr. Tolson, I wish to thank you for the copy of your letter to Mr. Galt, also for the Law Enforcement Bulletin. Permit me to congratulate you on the accuracy with which you state the problem. Speaking as a good Republican, I can really say that I have the greatest admiration for Mr. Hoover, and I'm particularly impressed with the support he gets from Cummings. As a matter of fact, that particular combination does a good deal to uphold my faith in government at a time when, frankly, I disagree with a considerable portion of the administration's program. Keep me on the mailing list.
I'm still a statist, you guys. I still believe it all.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, it's these people, they're hypnotizing others, but they themselves are hypnotized. It's like, oh, I'll work for the government. Yeah, I'll do whatever you say.
This one is quite interesting. This next one, right? Because receipt is acknowledged of your letter of May 27th, 1938, concerning the article which you have recently read on the Malay disease latte. I am very much interested in your observations regarding this unusual malady and want to thank you for your thoughtfulness in writing to me about it. Sincerely yours. And that's going to be, I guess, J. Edgar Hoover. But that
like
disease,
Malaysian people.
So this is a disease. I just have a real quick on that. Is a supposedly cultural specific neuropsychiatric startle syndrome. So it's very important, startle syndrome, right? Startle.
Whoa.
This is all this stuff is based on that startle response too. A lot of this
Right.
programming, primarily reported among Malay and Indonesian populations, characterized by exaggerated motor startle response to sudden stimuli such as touch or loud noises, often followed by involuntary behaviors such as echolalia, repetition of words, echopraxia, imitation of actions, forced obedience to commands, and corpolaya, involuntary utterance of obscene words. The condition predominantly affects women, and especially middle to older age. And episodes are frequently triggered by stress or life-altering events, such as death as a loved ones. Discovered in, documented in 1883. And it basically considered a quirk rather than a
It's not a
pathological
disease from like a bug bite or something.
tradition, but historically associated with cultural beliefs involving shamanism, witchcraft. And it was once listed in DMS4, it was removed in the DSM-5, and now categorized under more general dissociative or unspecified disorders. But this, you think about this is pretty interesting in terms of what this disease is. So, commands going into, these states. I mean, look at Trump derangements. I mean, there's almost like these people are suffering from this lata, whatever. I mean,
Yeah. And they do, yeah. Oh, I mean, total robot, that's their goal right there. I mean, total robots, if they could harness a disease, all they got to do is just infect the world with it. Right.
Have you ever heard of a doctor named Seligman? Seligman? He's a kind of a modern behavioral psychiatrist. But the guy from Propaganda Report, Brad Binkley, mentions him all the time. He's supposed to be the kind of behavioral psychologist to the politicians. We should have Binkley on to talk about him because he mentions him
listen
all
to
the
him.
time. Yeah.
He's great.
Yeah.
He's another anarchist.
Yeah, I've been like listening to the Propaganda Report for probably at least 7 years. I can't even remember. I had him on like 5 years ago, him and Perez, but he keeps
Monica's
mentioning this
great.
guy Seligman. I don't know who he is, but I think it's like the modern application of this kind of stuff, which shows that the politicians are creating these kind of like Grockian clowns, like literally people with Trump derangement syndrome, where they don't even know why they're calling him a criminal, or why they're doing this, or why they're going and protesting, or why they're in an advanced state of like hysteria, or these are all created. Yeah,
That is the new politics now. I remember back when, like 20 years ago, they used to talk about issues and the fiscal responsibility and all that, boring stuff that adults talk about. But now it's just like, it's like the WWE or whatever. It's, it's a wrestling match every 4 years.
Yeah. Well, no, again, that startle reflex, tied into the, again, parasympathetic, sympathetic nervous system, ties into, your dopamine hit from your likes on Facebook, and all this ties into a similar thing, because the startle reflex, it cuts everything else out except for that
Right.
stimulus. And so if you get in a perpetual state of this startle reflex, in fact, you induce it in yourself through your mode of entertainment, self-induction with your cell phone that becomes mirrored as part of your body, and then, you look at this. I mean, again, they're looking at this condition. How can this be? I mean, they're obviously not studying it to cure it. I think the next document they talk about it. So it's,
That's the next step. Did you go mute? Oh, okay.
I'm still
you-
here. I'm just trying to do something else.
Oh, I was talking about Hans.
he's
Okay.
multitasking. Okay.
But that's very important what you're bringing up there, and the way that they are inducing this into it's totally changed. And if you look at the way that they create and control society now, like the shock doctrine, that book, that like everything, the way that they manage people now is through shock and reaction, problem, reaction, solution, right? Like it's that's how they create a predictable slave. is they bang on one side of the cage and everybody runs the other way, and then they bang on the other side, everybody runs, like a school of fish.
Yeah, well, we can just go to the next page, the 219, right? Again, this is the same topic, Esther Brooks to Hoover. Um, Dear Mr. Hoover, I was reading a very interesting article the other day dealing with the Malay disease Leta. There can be no doubt that people suffering from this disease develop an abnormally, why can't I say that? Abnormally high suggestibility. So much so that they are unable to resist imitating the movements of those near them, even if those movements involve great physical danger, such as thrusting their hands in fire. I hope I have time to do a little more reading on this subject and look up the best literature. If caused by some article of diet or some deficiency in the diet, which would seem highly probable, then it might be possible that the isolation of the drug or diet in question might be extremely useful.
Right. That reminds me of the zombie stuff with the fish. Like
Scopolamine or whatever, the angel's
well,
breath or devil's breath.
that was scopolamine, but I mean the zombies of Haiti, what they have a
right.
fish, it's like a puffer fish, and they give that to the person, and it makes them like their heart stop and stuff, and it fools everybody into thinking they died. But then they're like susceptible to suggestion. They're like a slave, and I wonder if that because it's like a fish in that local area of the Caribbean, where that's why it only happens there, type of thing. I wonder if this Malay thing is because, like, what he's asking is like, is there some sort of
Well, they want
drug or something?
Well, then, no, in a sense, like to find what that is. What if it is something in the diet? You
Right.
introduce that in the food supply.
Exactly.
know,
It's
I mean-
so easy for them.
But I wanted to just what for me came to mind is you mentioned some of this stuff of these channels where people imitate behaviors, right? All the I know like Jackass. I think you mentioned something about some of these things their kids are doing all this like self-harm stuff.
The TikTok challenge.
Yeah, the TikTok challenge is imitating behaviors, even though it causes self-harm. You have this
Right.
startle reflex. I mean, is that not similar in a certain way?
Some of those challenges are light yourself on fire with gasoline and a match. Like, it's really sick. It's like, I mean, how crazy are you? Will you do this now? Like, will you, strap a bomb to yourself for 72 virgins, right?
Guys, we made it to page 220. We're on the downward slope to the end of this document. I got to wrap it up. My
That's fine.
clock's like,
You
where's
made it over the hill, though. It's more than half.
over the hill. That's right. Why don't you guys tell people where they can find you, and until the next time, and
Great.
promote yourselves.
Well, how about you first, because you're the guest, actually. Tell us
William
where-
Ramsey Investigates podcast. You can go to my Patreon. I have a pretty active Patreon. You can find me there. You can get my books through Amazon or my website, William Ramsey Investigates. And that's basically it. Nothing. That's it.
Well, you do great work, and we're glad to have
Thanks.
you.
Yeah, 240 live listeners. So thanks everybody for listening and sharing the show and being involved in this path of discovery where I'm discovering stuff too and getting understanding different facets and different insights. And the network is really incredible, from Erickson to White to Holmes, these naval intelligence and Harvard. And it just shows how expansive it was prior to, whatever happened after post-world, beyond World War II.
When they got those dictators in power,
You see their real character, because that's the other thing is like something about this like classification. They're not talking to somebody from the media or something. You kind of see, you get the gist that they're being a little bit more open and forthcoming than they may be in other environments, but it's very telling. Erickson's like a real piece of work.
Brutal.
I think they got him keyed up right.
Only the most brutal work for the government,
Right. Those are the
Anyway.
ones. And it goes back to my beginning statement of this episode. Larson says something bad about these guys, that they're trouble, and then he disappears, and these guys are all still communicating, right? So it's kind of is telling. We don't want to talk to Larson let's get back to
That's right.
whatever.
It's all bad apples, and when a good apple shows up, they're like, "Oh, get out of here!"
Yeah, get out of here. We don't. You're not willing to use guys or guile or something. Bye.
You're not really willing to hypnotize your wife in front of other people and
No
make her
immoral
embarrass
acts.
herself?
Yeah, who knows what she was saying too? Like it had to be something.
Well, you see these memos, like there was a memo a little further back where they're saying, oh, all studies of hypnotism are now stopped, right? And it's distributed. So obviously, and it looks like, and then suddenly, well, it's not stopped because they're going, but it goes to the people that they're getting cut out of the correspondence circle.
There you go.
And we just literally see it. It's right there. We can go back and look at that because I saw that. Oh, all the studies are now terminated from the bureau, and then they're still going. But the guy who questioned it, he's
he's out of the loop, right?
It seemed like they were suspicious of Estabrook himself. They were like, he's trying to finagle to be on top of the heap, and and then Estabrook's in the other letter, he's like, oh, please keep me abreast of all the knowledge. Like he's like pleading to be still in the loop, right? It seemed almost that way in that letter.
But I mean, literally, what I want to say, I think, is very, very important, centrally important, is we see Estabrook's calling for, I wish we could have an iron-handed dictator to rule the United States, and education to of the population. This is about population. This shows without, I was sort of speculating that this is being deployed right there. You're talking about mass deployment of the entire population as a stamping mechanism, right? A permanent lockdown mechanism. It's right there. And then this other thing, looking at dietary effects. Look at all the stuff that's come out, right? Of course, anybody, look at all the food additives, man.
What is BHT or BHA or all those, TBHQ? Why are they doing that, right?
Dude, just so many food additives and everything. And the diet.
40,
and so, who knows? But I mean, they're actively, why they want to research it. They want to cure the disease? No, obviously not. It's awesome disease. Why we want this? You see the monkey see, monkey do. Put your hand in the fire. Oh, okay. I'll do that too.
I literally just got punted off of my Wi-Fi from my hotel. Okay. Were you guys able to promote yourselves?
I'll just do real quick. My show is Resonant State. I'm going to be, I was on Thanksgiving out, but I'm going to be posting more stuff. Resonant State. I am on BitChute under the Resonant State. You'll find me on Rumble, Eyes Wide Open, Hans Utter Investigate. I'm on YouTube, Resonant State, and then also on Spotify and various other channels. And I am also on One Great Work Network, which I'm going to be soon going live with, along with Mr. Sean McCon. Oh, sorry.
We're both on the One Great Work Network, and we're glad to have you, Hans. It's great, and you do great work. And so you can find him also when he eventually gets it live, but there's no rush. It's whatever. But it's onegreatworknetwork.com/Hans-Utter will be yours. And mine is onegreatworknetwork.com/Sean-McCann. And I can also be found on Spotify and all those. I Wake the Dead. You'll find my work there. And I've got a new job, and I have like a lot of shows kind of backed up. Like I still have to post number 10 of this, and I recorded 2 more last night, last night and the night before. So there's a lot more work coming. So like, don't fret. I'm working as best I can. I got projects, so many projects, irons in the fire. So.
Yeah. So until next time, it'll be episode 12, and I'm hoping to get a really great guest in. I'll see what happens, but I think I can get a couple. I think maybe try to integrate some other people. I'm talking to Mark Shaw in 2 days, who's in contact with Sir Answer, and maybe we could invite him on and just talk about his stuff.
I'd be delighted for that. That'd be
as
great.
it integrates into this. I think he might have some firsthand stuff, but we'll see. So he's a pretty well-known guy. Wrote a ton of books. Wrote a ton of books about a variety of different subjects: Dorothy Kilgallen, JFK, other stuff like that. But he's got a new book out, and he's promoting it too. So anyway, thanks, guys. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for listening. Really appreciate it. And please share the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you.